try this.
What's going on, my beautiful people? Let me lower this. I kind of screwed that up. All right, my beautiful people. Welcome to STR News and Digest. It's been a minute since I done a STR News and Digest live. Let me just give you a quick recap of what's been going on. I don't know if you can tell, but I completely remodeled my house. So I have a bunch of, hold on one second. So the last, I don't know, I think it's been the last 2 to 3 months, I've been super busy. There's been a lot of changes going on in terms of, oh, my battery's going to die here. So I better connect this real quick. Give me 2 seconds. Because if I don't connect this, we will. Okay. Anyways, as I was saying, last couple of months have been crazy. We had the holidays, but 2026 is here, and every Wednesday at this time, we're going to be going live. We're going to be doing. If you're not aware, also, if you look over this shoulder here, I also started a second channel unrelated to this channel, but we're going to be going live. We're going to be addressing all the latest news in the STR world. We're also going to be talking about travel, right? Right now, this episode is going to be kind of short. I just want to let everyone know that we're back up and running, and we're going to be doing a live once a week. And if during the week, if you guys have any questions, then list them in the comments or send me an email, and we'll address them during this live. I'm also going to try to have some guests in the STR world that are going to come on live with us, and we're going to discuss the market, where the market's going. There's been a lot of changes in the last 2 years in the STR market, some good, some bad. And right now, we're going to talk specifically about 2026 and how is the market, the STR market. Well, demand for short-term rentals is continually growing. Now, if you are a short-term rental operator, you may not be noticing it because revenue may not be up in your specific area. But the good thing is that we're starting to see a increase in, the demand is still there, but we're starting to see a decrease in the availability of short-term rentals. Now, I've always said this, and I'm going to continue to say this. If you're in this game, well, let me retract that. Those that got into this game when it was hot are jumping off the bandwagon, and here's why. There's a lot of people that got into the game in 2024 and 2025 specifically because it was profitable to be in this game, and you could put anything on the platform and you were going to be fine. Those days are gone. It's become very saturated in many markets, or it was saturated in many markets, and it became very competitive. And if you weren't in this for the long haul, then you got scared and you got out, which more power to you. And I'm glad you got out because, again, we're starting to see the market. So let me go over some of the numbers that came out for Q1 of this year. Now, I get this data from a company called Key Data and AirDNA, two very well numbers. But according to them, in the latter part of Q5 and the beginning part of Q1 for 2026, let me bring up the numbers. We saw a 9% increase in RevPAR. Now, for those that don't know what RevPAR is what the average, let's say, 2-bedroom house is bringing in a particular area. So it's not what specifically you're bringing in, but it's what the average is of similar properties within a specific region. Now, This 9% RevPAR consists of the US. So if you're in the US, you saw a 9% increase, which is a good, healthy number. And let's look at specific regions. For example, the Mid-Atlantic region saw 11% increase in RevPAR year over year, which is a 10% increase from last year. They also saw a 10% increase in occupancy. The New England area saw a 10% increase in RevPAR for their seasonal demand. Now, there's areas in which there's seasons and areas in which there isn't. New England is very seasonal, so their increase is specifically related to their season. Now, the Rocky Mountains saw a 9% increase. The Hawaii Islands, which this kind of surprised me because Hawaii is become very strict when it comes to short-term rentals, but they saw an increase of 6%. Now, in contrast, the Southwest of the United States saw a 4% drop year over year. And one of the reasons why they saw that drop is because their supply is continually increasing. So they saw an increase in supply, meaning an increase in short-term rentals. The demand was constant, meaning it was the same that it was the year before. So if you were an operator, you saw a 4% decrease, overall. These are general numbers. They're not specific numbers. So you may have seen something either more or less equal to, but it's really specific to the region. Now, guys, as always, I see there's a couple of you guys that are on. If you have any questions or comments, list them below. Lorena will go ahead, and if she sees something that sticks out, she will let me know. But right now, a couple of shout outs to Premium Homes 305. Thank you, Julio. Thank you, Lorena. Thank you. But going on, what's new? Now, here's a big one. And if you're not aware, and we're going to talk about Airbnb, because Airbnb still is the dominant OTA on the market, right? Especially in North America. They're the big player. And here's I'm going to do now that I'm learning, on this channel, I'm learning a lot about platforms and which platforms actually dominate and why they dominate. Now, as a short-term rental operator, I have a love-hate relationship with Airbnb. They have done wonders for my business, but they also are the ones that have created the biggest headaches for my business. And the dynamics of these platforms, love or hate them, the reality is that they're here to stay. They own what we all as business owners need and want and demand, which is the customer. So I'm gonna take a side note here, and this is where I really got to understand what it means to own this platform and the customer. I always understood the importance of owning the customer, right? I've said this before. I don't care what business you're in. If you don't have a customer, then you're not viable, right? This is why I think marketing is so important. This is one of the reasons why Lorena and I created the ebook, the marketing ebook for short-term rental operators, because you need eyeballs, and then you need those eyeballs, or you need to convert those eyeballs into customers. And then once you have that customer, you need to retain that customer. Airbnb does a very good job at that. A lot of these platforms, I'm going to name a couple like Uber, right? Uber, and now Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, all these OTA partners force. And I'm not saying they're putting a gun to people's heads, but if you are, for example, as a short-term rental operator, if you're not on the Airbnb platform, then you're going to struggle, right? Unless you have a large, and very few companies have this, unless you are, like I'm going to give you an example, unless you are a Marriott that's been around for a lifetime, right? For a lifetime for a lot of people, and they have the brand recognition, and they have what's important, the customer database, to get those people to continue to come to their hotels, right? As a short-term rental operator, unless you have that brand recognition or your property has that brand recognition, and there are some out there that do a fine job at it, but the great majority of short-term rental operators don't have that brand recognition. And because they don't have that brand recognition, they have to be on that Airbnb platform. They have to be on multiple platforms, Verbal, Booking, just to name two more, right? We need those platforms in order to survive in today's day and age. Now, I've said this before, I'm going to continue to say it. You should strive to be independent from these platforms, meaning you should strive to have your own database of customers that you're not reliant on these OTAs. But even when you have that, if you want to maximize revenue, I firmly believe you still have to play with these OTAs. So, having said that, Airbnb, if you're not aware, they're a little bit, and I've talked about this before, but I want to refresh your memory. I said this before, right? Any company, if you're not innovating and you're not striving to grow with the times, you're going to be left behind. And I said this early on in 2025, and I said it towards let me backtrack. I said it towards the end of 2024, and I said it in early on in 2025, that Airbnb was behind the 8 ball as it relates to AI. And I'm mentioning this because if you're not aware, they just poached one of the greatest, their new hire is someone they stole from another company to handle their AI market. If you're in the travel industry, whether you're an airline, a hotel, you own a tour guide, you're a short-term rental operator, AI is going to dominate this market. They already are starting to dominate this market. And Airbnb is behind the 8 ball. Hence why they just hired this guy. And I'm going to see if I can find this guy's name real quick. And I believe they they stole this guy. Let me see if I can find it real quick from Facebook. Give me 2 seconds to see if I can find it real quick. Let me just do a quick Google search. Damn it, it's not coming up. Anyway, I forget the guy's name, but they just hired this guy that they poached, and I believe they poached him from Facebook because of AI. So I'm bringing that up because if you are in the short-term rental game and you're not implementing AI into your systems and processes, you're going to be left behind because, again, they're really dominating this market. And here's what they're striving for, right? And I talked about this before in Q4 of 2025, but they're moving into services, right? That services that's being implemented within the Airbnb platform is being handled by AI. They're also trying to expand on customer service using AI. And obviously, they're using AI to attract and get more data on customers' trends, right? And how people are booking, what they're booking, etc. So it's imperative that if you are in the travel industry in general, but in specifically if you're a short-term rental operator, that you start to adapt some of these AI features that are available. Like, for example, we use AI to handle our customer service. We use AI to give us the analytics as to what trends we're seeing because we tie into TSA. And again, if you guys are not using that TSA data, again, you're missing out. TSA data will tell you how many visitors are visiting your specific area. And you need to know that, right? You need to know how many people are actually visiting your area so that you can, and where they're coming from, so you can target those areas. So for example, in South Florida, we recently saw an influx from people from the Northeast, right? And so guess what I did? I Facebook target market, or my marketing was targeting people in the north. Now, I've always done that in the wintertime because people get tired. People get tired of the cold. You know, they get tired of being closed in all the time inside a building because it's too damn cold to go outside. So we always focused on that. But using the data, I know specifically which areas or which airports people are flying out of and flying into Fort Lauderdale. Crucial for your marketing plan, right? So anyways, that's AI. That's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the future of the short-term rental game. It is changing. Next week, I'm going to talk about some strategies that you should be following because the game is completely different today than it was 2 years ago. And you need to be abreast of what you should be doing today to stay ahead of the game, especially if you are in a market that's struggling like right now, like the Southwest market is struggling because of oversupply. Now, on the positives, right? Airbnb is still growing. The company is still growing. If that company is still growing, it tells me and confirms the data that I have, the demand for short-term rental is continually going up. Our struggles right now is the fact that we have too much supply. We have too many options available to short-term rental operators. And I'm going to close by saying this. I said this last year from the summer all the way to, from Q3 to Q4, and I'm going to continue to say this in the first quarter of this year. If you're looking to invest in short-term rentals, I would right now, unless you're getting a phenomenal deal, I would shy away from residential homes. I would focus more on boutique stuff or unique stays, right? I talked about my vineyard a lot last year. My vineyard's up and running. We've already received our first guest. Super excited about that. If you're interested in staying there, as always, check out our website. All the information is going to be in the description down below. Since this is the live, it won't happen right this second. It'll be up tomorrow. But going back to the point, I would be focusing on that or be focusing on buying commercial properties, meaning buildings that are 10, 15 units big and converting those into short-term rentals. That's where the money is in 2026, guys. Anyway, my beautiful people, I don't know let's see right here. What other platform or strategies do you recommend so we don't rely only on Airbnb? Okay, great question. And I'm glad it was posted up. Great question. And I'm going to be diving deep into this in next week's STR News and Digest. But number one is making sure you have your own website and making sure you are developing and creating and growing your own email marketing list. Because once you have a customer, and especially if that customer had a great experience with you, you can have that customer for a very long time. So have your website, start creating your marketing list. And if you don't have my ebook, get my ebook. It's going to help you strategize marketing-wise, both on social media, on YouTube. I'm big on YouTube, to get and attract those guests coming to your place. So hope I answered that question. Again, stay tuned. Next week, we're going to do a deep dive into strategies on how to not be dependent on Airbnb. Okay, I don't see any other question. So for now, guys, thank you for hopping on. If you're watching this on replay, list of questions, and I'll be monitoring the questions and the comments below. But comment, share this information. See you next Wednesday. Love you guys.
Stuck at zero with your short-term rental? Watch Sarah go from overwhelmed host to marketing pro in 60 seconds. Meet Sarah, drowning in a sea of confusing marketing tactics. But everything changes when she discovers from zero to pro. She masters SEO, skyrocketing her visibility online. Social media becomes her secret weapon, turning scrollers into guests. Email marketing? Automated and personalized, working while she sleeps. With her own booking site, Sarah waves goodbye to hefty OTA fees. Sarah's not just growing, she's scaling, from one rental to an empire. Now Sarah's not just a host, she's a digital marketing pro with a thriving business. Ready for your zero to hero story? Get from zero to pro today and scale your rental empire.